Good morning. What day are we on today? Thursday. Oh, team, I apologize. I've been out of it because I have literally been out of the office with our offices being closed for Remembrance Day and then home with sick kids. I am behind on our schedule and so want to thank you for your understanding and your patience as we move ahead and do makeup classes for yesterday's class that I missed. But I guess it was just the one day, as Tuesday was Remembrance Day, and so we were closed in honor of that. We're only one class behind, which I am going to make up on Friday. Stay tuned to the social media posts for the hours of when that will be, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be Friday from 2 to 3. We just need to confirm scheduling. For those of you tuning in, my name is Kobe Flatt, and for the next 50 minutes, I'm going to be going through the DCO3O, our cooperative education course. Every Monday to Thursday from 10 until about 10:50, I go through the cooperative education creating opportunities through cooperative education course. We are just in the first week of term 1B. So for those of you who are new to WASA Distance Education Center, there are multiple ways for you to join your classes. You can participate and listen live by tuning in to 91.9 FM, where we've got fantastic music happening in between classes. Most of us teachers here at WASA have slides that we show to help illustrate concepts and go through examples. If you want to be watching as well as listening, you can tune in to our Zoom links. You can get the Zoom link for any of our classes from either your teachers or your distance education coordinators. You can call us here at WASA, connect with us here to find out what classes are being presented when and how to get that Zoom link. The beautiful thing about participating live is you can call in with any questions or comments you might have. You can reach us at 807-737-4017. You can call us toll free at 1-800-465-7144. Now we understand that you are busy and you might have other responsibilities. You might be working full time, you might be parenting, you might be doing whatever it is that you need to take care of. So if you can't tune in to any of your classes, all of our classes are recorded and get posted to our WASA Distance Education Center YouTube channel. Usually every Friday, the week's classes get uploaded. They are uploaded with descriptions so you can find which class you missed and maybe which concept you need help with. I also have our class recordings saved to our Google Classroom. So if you need to go and watch there, sometimes it's a little bit more up to date. If you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email or phone or Facebook. My office hours are Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you need help, maybe you're working on your coursework in the evening, you're stuck on a question, feel free to leave me a voicemail or send me an email or a message, and I will get back to you as soon as I'm back in office. The beautiful thing about working at your own pace is you can do it when it's convenient for you. If you need help, feel free to check out our WASA YouTube recordings, go to Google Classroom, find those recordings, see if you can work your way through. But if not, or if you're still unsure, skip it and go to the next question. You can always come back to it once I'm back in office and have had a chance to connect with you. So we are in our first week of term 1B. All of our terms here at WASA are 9 weeks. This term runs from November 10th until January 23rd. Now, that having been said, co-op is special. Co-op is working under the premise that for 3 weeks we will be in classroom getting you ready for your placement, building those career skills so that you can be successful in the workplace, and then we send you out the door. Because of that, we have just 20 classes of on-air broadcasting, on-air classes. After that, we get a break. We just go until Christmas. Everybody else gets the 2-week Christmas break off, and then they jump back on air and they continue with their classes. But we won't. We will be in our placements then. Now, again, I recognize that many of you are already working full-time. You've been in your job for maybe a while already even, and that's fantastic. So for the sake of this co-op course, we're just going to call it your placement. We're going to say this is what's happening, but we recognize that, yep, you're working full-time, you are busy. You're going to be tacking on this coursework, maybe in the evenings, maybe on your lunch break, whenever you're not working. Because of our schedule, I want to highlight that there is going to be it's called our week 4. From December 1st to December 5th is week 4. From December 2nd to the 5th, I will be traveling out of town for work. We're attending a conference in Toronto. So that week is just going to be pushed back. The Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we don't broadcast on Fridays, the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, since I'm out of town, we're just going to not have class airing those 3 days, and we're going to push our week back to December 18th. So our 20th day would technically be December 15th, but because of the conference I'll be attending, our last day for this course on air class, Radio Zoom, will be December 18th. If you have any questions about that, please feel free to reach out. I've got the schedule on the board for anyone who's following along, whether you're watching the recording or you're watching through Zoom. You can see our pink highlights of no classes December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th, and our course will end December 18th. But we're on week 1. We managed to broadcast on Monday, November 10th. We were closed Tuesday, November 11th for Remembrance Day. Yesterday I was out of the office, so we're going to pick up where we left off on Monday and continue with that today and during tomorrow's makeup class. If you need assistance with getting a Chromebook, let alone just having questions or comments or concerns, you can email me at Jacoba, that's JACOBA .flat, FLATT, at nnec.owen.ca. You can call me at my desk, 807-737-1488, extension 2228. Or you can connect with me on Facebook. You can find me at jflatwasa. Anything you need, please do not hesitate to reach out. We are going to quickly review the course breakdown. We're going to review Google Classroom that we started talking about on Monday. We're going to jump into those required assignments and look specifically at lessons 1 and 2 today, talking about ministry documents and student forms. Because we ran out of time on Monday, I wanted to reiterate again the course breakdown of this DCO3O. At the end of your 20 lessons, our 20 lessons for this course are broken into 5 units instead of 4 units, so each unit just has 4 lessons in it. At the end, there's no exam. We have a culminating activity as our final assessment. This is where you will be evaluated on the assignments that are contained within the various units of the course material, and this final assessment. The portfolio is going to be your culminating activity. It's a digital portfolio that offers you the chance to demonstrate your learning. In this digital portfolio, you are expected to share what you have done and learned at your, remember we're calling it your placement, it's your workplace. The digital portfolio will consist of pictures and descriptions. Now there's a second part to the final assessment, this digital portfolio, and that is the final reflection. The second part of your culminating is a written reflection of your overall experience that you're going to sum up in 4 paragraphs. So the course breakdown, all of the coursework that you do in the 20 lessons is worth 70% of your grade. This consists of your student forms, your assignments, that are all in lessons 1 to 20. Your final assessment is the culminating activity, and it's worth 30% of your overall grade. Now, 10% of that is the grade that you get from your supervisor, your employer evaluation. At the end of your co-op time, your evaluator, whether it's the employer, the supervisor, whoever you report to, they will be grading you, and their mark makes up 10% of your final assessment. The other 20% goes towards that final portfolio and that final reflection. It's one end project that kind of has a part A and a part B. So the final portfolio makes up 20%, and that includes the portfolio and the reflection. To best assist you in being successful for this course, you will want to have a device. You will want access to Google, the G Suite. Every student who registers with WASA is given an nnecschools.org account. It's usually in the formula of your first name dot your last name, your month and date of birth. And everyone's given a generic password to log in. Once you log in, it prompts you to change your password. Should you ever need help logging in, please reach out to any one of us here. If you ever forget your password, please reach out. We can reset it for you so that you can access the many apps that Google has to offer. This course is really easy to do on Google Classroom if you're familiar with it, and if you're not, that's the joy of these on-air radio Zoom classes. I get to walk you through, giving examples, showing you where to find things and how to complete things. And that's what we are going to do today. Looking at Unit 1, jumping into course material. Unit 1, the entire unit, has 8 assignments. That's it. Lesson 1 is the ministry documents. So Lesson 1 has 3 assignments that consist of completing the WEA, the Worker Education Agreement form. That must be done. The ministry says that we need to have this documentation. Secondly is the confidentiality agreement. Again, your work might ask you to complete one, and you should do that with them, but we also need one for our records here. So be sure to be completing that confidentiality agreement. It simply asks for your supervisor name, but you don't need to hound your supervisor for a signature. Just the worker education agreement needs your employer or supervisor signature. The last ministry document is the workplace report. Lesson 2 has the CELP, the Cooperative Education Learning Plan, and the student evaluation. This is one that you do yourself. You're evaluating yourself after 30 hours in your work placement. Lesson 3 has 2 assignments. They consist of goal setting and benefits of co-op. And lesson 4 has one assignment to identify your interests. So they're really all about you. As long as you are completing the assignments in their entirety, you can't really get it wrong because you're telling me what your goals are. What is your vision? What do you feel are the benefits of you taking this course? What are your interests? This is why co-op is such a beautiful thing. It helps you to be thinking about you and how you can better yourself in your future career. Lesson 1. Now, if you have the old material isn't broken nicely into lessons. It's all the same information, but it's not broken into lessons that help you stay organized and tracked. So if you have the old stuff, you can keep working on it, but I have revamped the course for this year and divided it into lessons. So if you have the new material, you will see on page, where are we? Page 7. Page 7 of Unit 1 talks about Unit 1, the foundations of cooperative education. Lesson 1 is all about ministry documents. The Ministry of Education is part of Ontario's government that looks after schools. They make sure that students across the province get a fair and high quality education. For cooperative education, the ministry creates the rules and expectations for the program. Part of these expectations, part of these rules are that we have to track certain things. Very important part of the program is completing required Ministry of Education documents. The first one is that WEA, the Work Education Agreement. The Ministry of Education requires that every co-op student complete this form. The information contained in this agreement is used to maintain a record of students participating. The second one is the confidentiality agreement. Your supervisor doesn't need to sign it, but we need one for our school records. And the last ministry document is the workplace report. This also goes in your student file, but it's a twofer. It's like a bonus. You get to check the box that meets ministry requirements, but you also get to know your workplace a little bit better. You get to know your tasks a little bit better. For those of you who have been in your job for a while, maybe this is a good refresher. You get to use this as an excuse almost to sit down with your supervisor and go through a few things. We're also going to touch on weekly logs today. Weekly logs will come up in lesson 20. If you are on page 8 of Unit 1, you'll see that red exclamation mark speech bubble symbol. That means this is a key question and these are assignments that need to be handed in. You'll see the worker education agreement, the co-op confidentiality, and the workplace report, but not the weekly logs. I want to bring up weekly logs today because it's so much easier to be tracking your skills, your habits, your tasks, your hours as you go, as opposed to trying to fumble at the end saying, what did I do that week? That was so long ago. Or what was I trying to accomplish? It's just easier to do them as you go. Lesson 2 looks at the second set of student forms. I want to take the time right now to go to our Google Classroom. So if you have the opportunity to go through this now, or maybe just be listening and you can go through it tonight, what we want to do is we want to go through and just make sure we know where everything is. We're going to go make sure we're signed in to our nnecschools.org account, and then we want to, I just have to switch here so that we're on our demo one so you can see from the student point of view. We're going to go up to that little Google Apps waffle. We're going to click on Google Classroom and make sure that you are in the cooperative education class. You might have a few of them. Once you're in our classroom, at the top we have 3 tabs. The tab that says Stream, a tab that says Classwork, and a tab that says People. You'll notice Stream has our up-to-date information. It's letting you know announcements that are happening through class. So this is where you can find the confirmation of class makeup times. Hopefully I'll get that sorted out today and I can post that on our classroom today. The main tab that you're going to be working off of is the Classwork tab. I have our classwork separated into topics. We have the textbook, that unit material. This is where you can find all of the information. As I go through and I say it's on page 7 of Unit 1, this is the textbook that I'm referring to. Then we have the assignments broken down into units. You'll see under Unit 1, it starts with goal setting. Now that's not entirely true. Lesson 1 and 2 are all about the documents, and because that's so important, I made that first and foremost. You'll see important forms and documents, and this is where you will need to start. I put it up here so that you see its importance, and then you can scroll down to Unit 1 to complete Lessons 3 and 4. When you are sitting down to complete your important forms and documents, you'll notice that most of the important forms and student documents have an example. It also contains a description, so you know why it is that you're doing it and what needs to be completed. So for the work education agreement, this is the very first assignment you have in your co-op course, and it states that this agreement must be filled out and signed by all parties. Your supervisor or employer needs to sign this one. There is an example of how to go through and complete your work education agreement. If you click on the PDF, in red pen, I have highlighted these are the sections that you need to fill in. So you have to put in your name, your age, your address, your phone number. I've checked off the other boxes that need to be checked, so you don't have to worry about clicking those pieces. You do need to complete your work placement information. This one is key. This is what allows me to reach out to your place of employment and say, thanks so much for being a shareholder. Thanks for allowing so-and-so to have the opportunity to obtain credits while they're working. I need to know the name of your placement supervisor and how to get a hold of them. If you can provide me with their email address and their phone number, that would be much appreciated. It needs to be filled out for the ministry, and I can use it to make those connections. I have already filled out the school information. Remember, anytime you see the red ink, that's where you need to fill in. So here it says to put in your job title and your normal hours at the work placement. If you don't have a 9-to-5 job, that's okay. You can put what your normal work hours are. If you normally work, if it's shift work and you could be working anywhere from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., throw that in there. It then asks you to identify the days of the week when the student will be at the work placement. If you could be working 7 days a week, then put Sunday through to Saturday. If you just work Monday to Friday, just put Monday to Friday in there. I've filled out Section 3, the WSIA coverage. The Section 4 is where everybody needs to sign. There is a section for parent and guardian, and that's because this ministry form is for all co-op, whether you're a grade 10 student at Sioux North High School or you're an adult education student. It's the same form. So don't worry about getting a parent or a guardian to sign if you are over the age of 18. If you are the age of majority, you can put your name, your signature. Your employer or supervisor will need to put their name and their signature, and then it's my name and my signature. The last information is already filled out for you. It's just our school stuff. If you can scan and send this back to me as soon as possible, then I am able to get a head start on contacting employers and just letting them know, hey, we don't have much for you to do. Just a heads up, at the end, I'm going to ask you to fill out an evaluation of your employee, which most of them are fine doing because a lot of workplaces you do that anyways, and it's part of like a job performance review, so it's not a whole lot of extra work for employers. That is the first ministry document. The second one is that confidentiality agreement. I don't have an example for this because it's really straightforward. You put the name of your placement in 2 spots. Yes, it's repetitive, but you're just saying that I will hold in confidence all matters that come to my attention as a cooperative education student at wherever your workplace is. And then it says this includes materials from or about clients. This includes matters regarding coworkers. This includes confidential information regarding the organization. I will respect the privacy of people with whom I serve and confer appropriately with my superiors. I just want to put in here that this also goes for your final culminating activity. We ask that you put in pictures of your workplace, pictures of tasks you do, but be mindful of what's in the background. If there's some confidential document sitting on your desk, maybe don't take a picture of that. If there are colleagues in your workplace who do not want their picture taken, please be respectful of that and either blur them out of the picture or ask them to step out for 2 seconds if they're okay with that. We want to be respectful of everyone and their privacy. And then you'll see you just have to write your name, sign your name. I write my name, I sign my name, and then all I need is the name of the placement supervisor. You don't need to bother them for a signature. So that one's pretty straightforward. The last document that's required in lesson 1 is the workplace report. This one is a little bit more in detail, so I've provided an example of how you can complete the workplace report. Here, anything that's in blue is what you will need to fill in. It's what you will need to write. So for the student's full name, I made up Stu Dent. Get it? The number of co-op credits. If you are doing a 1-credit co-op, you're just going to put in 1. But maybe you are doing a 2-credit co-op. You are getting this credit for 2 electives. You can put number 2 in there. Your weekly work schedule. Again, you can tell me you work a 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, you work shift work. You're going to put that information. Doesn't have to be your entire schedule. I don't need a printout of everything. Most places of employment don't have that in advance. So just a general idea of what's your work schedule, what hours are you working. And then it asks about how do you travel to and from your placement. Do you drive? Do you walk? How do you get from A to B? Do you get a ride? The next section is the company and organization information. Yes, I know a lot of it seems repetitive, but this is how we get good at following directions, filling out forms, because it's a skill that you are going to need in whatever job you have, or even without. It's good for how to renew your driver's license, kind of an idea. So your name of placement again, the work telephone number, because this is company organization information, the telephone number of your place of employment. And then it asks, who will you be working with? Are you working in a specific department? Are you working with one other individual? Are you a team? If you can put who you will mainly be working with there, that would be greatly appreciated. the address of your place of employment, and then it goes on to company and organization policies, where it asks, do you get a lunch break? What is the dress code? What is the policy regarding use of cell phones, computers? How do you contact your supervisor if you are sick or running late? This is where it starts to get into some of the information that if you've been in your job for a while, you'll already know, and you can write that in. If you're new, this is a perfect segue to say, hey, what are my breaks? What is the dress code? What is our policy? How do I contact the supervisor if I'm sick or running late? This is a great way. Maybe policies have been changing in your workplace and you're unsure. Use this as a, oh yeah, I've got to know this for my co-op credit. Can you just tell me? You can use it as a means of getting information that you've maybe needed to know for a while. The next part is the company and organization safety information. This is also key. Maybe you've become complacent in your workplace. You've been there for a long time and you haven't thought about where are the first aid supplies kept. Most places of business, depending on how big it is, they'll have multiple stations where you can find first aid supplies. List as many as you can. List all of them. Is there an AED or an eye wash station? If there is, state where. Where's the fire extinguisher located? How many are there? Make sure you know where they are. It's good for you to know. So if you're not sure, take a little walk around or sit down with your supervisor and say, look, I've got to do this for my co-op. Can we just go through this? And it might be a good segue for them to be thinking of, oh yeah, let's make sure we're up to date. Let's make sure that they're still valid. Let's make sure that they are where they're supposed to be. Think about the fire regulations at your placement. If you're unsure, meet with your supervisor. What are some hazards that you might encounter at your placement? We're going to get into hazards as we go through our course here, but you might encounter physical, chemical, biological, or ergonomic. Maybe some, maybe all. Describe the procedure that is to be followed in case of an emergency. Most places, it's if you see it, report it. Report an emergency, and if you're notified of one, follow the protocol. What is that protocol? Think about any personal protective equipment that you might have to wear at your place of employment. Do you need it all the time? Do you just need it when you're changing some things? Think about maybe what procedures have changed since COVID happened. Do you have new cleaning policies and procedures? Make sure you state who is in charge of health and safety at your place of employment. Who do you go to if there is a concern? Who provided your health and safety training? These are usually things that you do when you first start at a new place. So if you've been in your place for a while, you can write down who that would have been. Then this is where it's kind of nice to go through with a supervisor. If you've been in your job for a while, you might know this quite well, but if you want, again, use this as an opportunity to go through and talk about maybe more responsibility, if that's what you're looking for. Discuss with your employer the tasks that you will be doing. Now you'll see that the name of the learning plan changes. So at one point in time, it was the SCELP, the Student Cooperative Education Learning Plan. It's now more commonly called the CELP, the Cooperative Education Learning Plan. This is just, I've kept both in there so that you know it's the same document referring to, but you will want this job description portion for your CELP. It's going to help to guide your learning through your placement. So you write in what your job description would be there, what are some of the tasks that you have to do. And that's it for the workplace report. And that's it for lesson 1. If you have a hard copy of the course, you'll see all of these examples are provided within your material. Lesson 2 jumps to student forms. The student forms are just as important as the ministry documents. They go into your file. And the big one for lesson 2 is that CELP, the Cooperative Education Learning Plan. This acts as a roadmap for success. Think of this as a living document. It will be changing, evolving. It keeps you focused on what you want to achieve and helps others to support your growth. If you're looking to move up, if you're looking to switch gears, work with your supervisor, work with your employer on this document and use it as a reference point for discussing things like your learning goals, your job-specific goals, your duties and tasks and responsibilities. To complete this CELP, you will need to clearly identify your personal learning goals. You need to show how these goals connect to the course that you're earning the credit for. For us, it's DCO3O. We're not tying it to a specific course, but it's just how are they going to work hand in hand. You want to be sure to include both job-specific goals and transferable skills. All of these we are going to be getting into as we complete Unit 1. So if you need to skip this until you've done a bit more, until you've spoken with me, until we've learned what they all are, that's okay. We want to be sure to use clear, specific, and realistic wording so that your goals are measurable. We're going to learn all about SMART goals. And then it's best to review your plan with your teacher, with your supervisor, just to ensure that everybody's on the same page. You'll notice whether you're on Google Classroom, there is an example, or if you've got the hard copy, there's an example of what it looks like. And I've specifically highlighted things in yellow so that you know these are parts that you need to fill out. You need to write in your name. You need to write when you started your co-op placement. You need to tell me again where you're working, who you're working under, what their contact information is. And then you describe where you're located, what your position is, what your duties and responsibilities are. You're just summing it up into a paragraph. Then we get to learning objectives. This is where you'll notice that it's separated into at the beginning of your placement, during your placement, and after your placement. It's a living document. You are referring back to this as you complete your hours. We talk about how we want to see growth. So what you're learning in the first 2 weeks hopefully is not what you're still learning after 90 hours. We want to make sure that there's growth. And reflection is such a key part of growth. Looking back, learning from mistakes, learning from experiences, and growing from there. The CELP is broken up into different categories. We have career exploration and goal setting. We have communication skills, technical skills, problem solving and critical thinking skills. And then there's a checklist. You'll notice that checklist number 1 should be completed after the first 2 weeks of your placement. This is where you don't get wrong answers for putting in a lower score on the scale. This is mainly for completion. So in the first 2 weeks, you might not have had the opportunity to do something yet. You might need to be working on skills more. You might not feel super confident. And that's okay, because then you'll notice we have a reflection at the end of week 2 where you get to talk about what you learned, what do you still want to learn, how has your performance been. You give 1 star and 1 wish. What did you do well? What do you still want to do? Then there's that mid-place reflection. So you go over it again. What goals have you not yet met? What adjustments do you need to make to be successful? And then you'll notice a second workplace checklist that you complete at the end. So now your scores might be a little bit different. Maybe now you are feeling really confident in a lot more things that you didn't in your first 2 weeks. There's a reflection that you take at the end of the kelp at the end of your program hours. You get to review and update and revise, and I'll show you where that is as well on our Google Classroom. So the kelp kind of looks intimidating, but please feel free to use the example as a guide for what you should be writing where and when. Once we go back to Google Classroom, you'll see the important forms of documents right up there at the beginning because they need to be done. And then if you scroll down past Unit 5, there's those reminders, and the reminder is to finalize your paperwork. Be sure to update and complete your KELP, your student evaluations, which we're going to get into here next. Lesson 2, after you complete your KELP, then you are asked to complete a student evaluation number 1. Student evaluation number 1 is simply a Google form where you get to rate what you, here if I put in my demo at necschools.org and I go to next, you'll put in your name, your workplace, your you put in your name, put in your workplace, I'm just making stuff up, and you'll put in today's date, and then you go to next, and you'll see it's a rating scale. All you're going to do is just think about what you've done in your first 30 hours in your workplace. For those of you who have been in your workplace for a while, make these first hours from when you started your co-op placement. So you might have been doing the job for 3 years, but you just registered with us in September. Treat it as if you are starting now in September. And you're going to go through, you're going to give yourself a rating and make sure you comment on why you gave yourself that rating. Anything with that little red star, the little red asterisk, means you have to fill it out before you can submit it. It won't let you submit. You can choose to send a copy to yourself or not. That's completely up to you. There's another one that has to get done at the end of your term, which is another one of the reminders in finalizing your paperwork. Want to touch again on weekly logs. Weekly logs, there is a template that you will be given, and I ask that you please make a copy for each new week. So when you click on the template, you're going to need to go up to File. You'll be brought to a Google Doc. You're going to go up to File. You're going to go under Make a Copy. Under Make a Copy, you are going to write your name and the week that we're talking about. So this might be from November 10th to the 14th. And then you would click Make a Copy, and then you fill it in. So we make a copy. We're going to fill in, and the beautiful thing is it's pretty easy, it's pretty straightforward, it's all a drop down. Put in your name, put in your placement, the dates, we're going to say November 10th to the 14th. So Sunday, were you in, were you out? Well, Sundays, maybe I didn't work. On Monday I worked from 9 o'clock until maybe 3:30. You're going to write it in there, and you're going to tell me your total hours worked, because you might have a lunch break in there. So maybe you just worked 6 hours and you had a half-hour lunch break. At the end, you're going to total up how many hours you worked, and you're going to talk about one new skill that you learned, one thing you feel you improved upon, one thing that you're working to improve upon, something interesting that came up, something, maybe a new task, maybe a safety concern that you addressed or brought forward. And then you're going to write a goal, and you're going to rate what was your effort level. Maybe this week you were just lacking. Maybe your feet were dragging, maybe kids were sick, maybe it was just needed improvement this week. Maybe my communication was just satisfactory. Maybe my attendance was just satisfactory. Maybe my initiative this week needed improvement. That's okay. You're not going to lose marks for putting a realistic reflection. Maybe one week you nailed it. Maybe one week you were just on your A game, everything was rainbows and butterflies, and you can put excellent. By doing this every week, you will know exactly what you did. You don't have to go all the way back to the beginning and say, oh, what was that week? Was I there that week? The other thing I want to point out while we're here on the weekly log is some places of employment have traditional weeks. If you are getting paid for traditional weeks, that is still hours worked. You can put, I got paid for 6 hours on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But then in the skill you learned, tell me about what were you doing that week. You weren't at work, was there something else you got to do? Or you can just say it was traditional week, or it was Christmas break, or it was whatever it might have been. If it was a holiday, you can put that it was traditional leave or a holiday. Put that in there, and you can still tell me the hours that you got paid for. As you rack up these hours, you work towards your co-op credit. Depending on if you have a 1 credit or a 2 credit course, the hours that you need will vary. Because we do the 20 hours of in-class work, for most people you just need 90 hours of workplace hours. If you're working 40 hours a week, you could be done this course in 3 weeks, so to speak. It's all up to you what you put into it, how much time you've got for it. Going back to our slides, we covered the evaluations, we covered what those documents look like. If you need assistance with completing your cooperative education learning plan, feel free to reach out. I can help offer advice and support and maybe what could be written where and what that looks like. So you can phone me, email me, or connect with me on Facebook. There is another Google tool that I wanted to go through. For the sake of time, we won't be able to get to it today, but if you go to our Google Classroom, I'm going to switch my profiles here again. If you go to our Google Classroom, you'll see there's a section on tips, tricks, and training. There's a document that I created for how to navigate Google Classroom. If you're not feeling super confident, you can click on that document and go through what Google Classroom entails, how to log in, how to join, how to submit work. That's a key one that we'll get into tomorrow. But you can look on our Navigating Google Classroom tips, tricks, and training. And then the next one is this voice typing practice. Try out the amazing tool that Google offers, where you can first learn how to use voice typing and then you can practice it. I have a document up there where it will show you how to go through where to find it on Google Docs and what it looks like, how to utilize it. Feel free to play around with these, familiarize yourself with them, and then tomorrow's class I will go through how to submit work specifically. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out and ask. We are at the end of our class time. Feel free to explore Google Classroom, try your hand at the tips and tricks, and start submitting your ministry documents and student forms. I hope you have a great rest of your day. We will see you back tomorrow at 10 a.m. All the best.